And of course we're on the Royal Mile.
Hello my YouTube friends, we continue exploring Scotland and today we are going on the tour to Loch Lomond and Stirling Castle.
A mile 107 yards, an official measurement known as the Scots mile, but sometimes we like to call it the Scotch mile because the man in charge of measuring. Has anyone been up Arthur's Seat?
Volcanic
Not
floor.
yet. I hope that you will make it. Looking down towards the borders, and of course if you've been up at the castle's tofts, and upon that they would build their business and their home, and from there the city really grew and expanded down. And
our first stop is at Kelpies. We came here to look at the largest statues of horses in the world. Kelpies are mythological creatures that looks like partially horses, partially as serpents in the water. But when they come out of the water, they are just horses. These statues are modern. They were created a little bit more than 10 years ago by the sculptor named Andy Smith. The creation process of those sculptures.
Miles thick. The weather was terrible, even by Scottish standards. Sub-zero temperatures, blizzards, almost nothing survived.
Nearby canal.
a name that often comes up is John Muir. He's often referred to as being the grandfather of national parks because of the role that he played in the establishment of them and some of the papers that he wrote. What do you know of inside? You can see where it essentially would join up to the hills out on the far side of the river, and you see how we're directly on that Highland boundary fault line.
We came to this little place to explore the Loch Lomond
shape, and then as it came to the sandstone and the softer
the shape
rock,
represents the shape
carved out
of
this
Loch
big
Lomond.
bowl, and they've put this line of rock through it because that's where we are standing at the moment, is essentially here. This is where we are looking up to the hills here, so right on the boundary fault line.
Loch Lomond.
Sorry, this is longer than Loch Ness. It has the biggest surface area.
Right.
So a bigger surface area than Loch Ness, but Loch Ness has the most
Volume.
water by volume. Yeah. For the geology, really. And you stand here on a fault line, which is known as the
This is the place where we are right now. Blooming Heather.
And this is a version sung by Mackenzie Toke. It's a rather soulful version of it, and certainly not the version that we play. Or truly be at rest until it's taken home, and it's taken.
The famous song Lake Lomond or Loch Lomond, about two brothers.
their advisors at this time. But what he didn't want was a fugitive who wants to walk down to the town.
The song is Skyboat on poem, music played on poem by Robert Stevenson. We arrived at the Stirling Castle and we will explore it.
So you won't be able to get in there. But do take a walk and
The statue of famous Robert Bruce, the hero of Scotland. The map of the Stirling Castle.
Chambers were bomb-proof. This was a
Archery.
door. The whole grass banking over there. That used
Grand
to be like
Battery.
really weird. 46. Charles.
It used to be kitchens here for the palace.
It's known as the North Gate, and it dates back to 1381 in the reign of Robert II, grandson of Robert the Bruce, and the first
The oldest
of the Royal
portions of the
Stuarts.
castle.
That was your back door. There was a Stirling Castle, unless you had an invite. But around when you go in, the patio.
Prison.
Again, 1810. That's where the garrison stored over 800 barrels of gunpowder. And if I took you into every building up here, sir, I would have you with me all day. So I'll tell you a wee bit about that. Not as great as what they once were. When the castle was a royal residence, the kitchens went all along this grass banking. This
Oldest
was
building.
built by King James IV in 1496. This was his home, and it was built here on the highest point at Stirling Castle. But it looks very different today as to how it looked when James resided here. We know the ground floor was all vaulted chambers used for storage. James's rooms went from... But you
There
can see
was
how
a
different
fire
that north
and
end
that
of the
portion
building
was
now
rebuilt
looks. Above
during
the two
the
end
reign
windows
of
there, you'll see a
Queen
row.
Victoria.
And then we opened
His
in the June
Regiment
of
Museum.
2021. We have now arrived in the Great Hall here at Stirling, again built by King James IV in 1503. And back then, medieval hall, not only used in times of celebrations, but when the king resided here.
At that time, it was the
Happens
largest
in the December of 1566.
Great hall.
When Mary
This is
the
where
largest
the
fireplace
royalty
again
sat
was reserved for your royals.
during
And on
those
the
parties.
third night,
3-day patio was held
300 men
in
were
this hall by Mary Stuart.
to get them all in,
I believe
another
after
two
the
floors inserted. To
birth
get that
of
top
her
floor
son.
on, the Stirling between 1538 finished around 1542-43.
The
And
palace of
sadly,
King James
we don't
V.
even think you've seen it finished.
The
It's
roof,
all on that
unfortunately,
building
is
up
not
there today.
original.
And that
It
company
was
was in awe that they were
reconstructed
replacing
with
something that
any
had
nails.
been here. And anyway, that's
This
it.
was
We
also
want
the
to
childhood
betroth
home
his young
of
son
Mary
that he once had brought up in the
Stuart.
English court.
Mary,
Her mother
the
is
Queen of
having none it.
Scots.
She
We'll come inside the palace later. Now we are going to the royal chapel. When Mary was only 5 years old, she was sent to France to marry the prince and then the future king of France. Inside the chapel.
The building of this new chapel royal in the park of afterwards. Today's money, 17.5 million gold and navy. I'm sure some of you will have heard of this.
Inside the palace. We are here now.
How's it going?
Afternoon.
Welcome to the palace.
Thank you. Trees ended up in New York somehow, and these ones are replicas done in New York.
I'm not the Queen. Today, my name's Hamish Gamble. If you can't jump on the throne, you only do it once.
The door is original in this room, 500 years old.
Here.
By the way, Mary Stuart lived on her father's, the king's side. The king's inner hall. Another big hall. The outer hall. Now marching there. The example of Highland civilian dress. Many paintings are on the walls. We are at the Douglas Castle, and this spot has a very interesting story. I will show it to you now. And what a beautiful view from the castle walls on the valley down. We are going along the wall, and the wall goes down there as well. We return to the kitchens building and we will go inside. The recreation, how the servants worked here. Huge fires, 2 of them in this room. Methods. Here the bread was baked. We are exiting the castle.